Welcome to Fireteam Chat, IGN's Destiny show. Thank you so much for joining me. Joining me on VMix is Travis.
Milk Clunky.
And Brian.
C-Team.
A little behind the scenes, I got this thing.
You should have called attention to it. You should have just just had it there over your shoulder, looming there the whole time.
So we had to do a little bit of a later episode today because I have to shoot B-roll of this box. But anyway, we're going to be talking about Destiny 2, not that. But I just wanted to give an explanation as to why this is posting on a Saturday instead of our regular Friday window. Thank you for understanding. Travis, how's it going? How's life in Destiny?
Going great, man.
Yeah,
it's great. Destiny's been. I finally finished Festival of the Lost, which was horrible and a big waste of time. But boy, did I get that lens that we don't know what it does.
Heck yeah! And Brian, how's it going?
There's only one more week for us to figure out if that lens does anything, and I'm losing hope every day. Losing hope. It's going to turn into a toothbrush. That's all I'm thinking is just or a box of raisins. It's not looking. The outlook's not so good.
It's probably raisins. On today's show, we're going to talk about, we got the story trailer with Eramis. Did I say it right, Brian?
You said it right. Eramis.
Right.
And we were going to talk a little bit about all the weapon updates and the tuning that they're doing. Bye-bye Mountaintop and hand cannons and everything else, apparently, which was sort of surprising. Let's start with that story trailer, though. We got to look at Varix. He's smuggling something in a box. I assume that's the darkness. And it's going
to be a stasis crystal that you and I both kind of like did that little rewind theater for it.
Yeah. Did you write that, or did somebody who wrote it?
Yeah, I wrote it.
Nice.
I think I got one thing wrong in there, but anyway.
Yeah, we totally talk in Shadowkeep.
Did we talk in Shadowkeep?
Yeah, and I was reading it and I was like, oh, I'm so busy. I'll just read it.
If you thought you talked in Shadowkeep, you should have just corrected the line. It's fine.
Oh,
it's fine, whatever. But anyways, in that box, right? It's obviously he probably stole a stasis crystal from Eramis, and that's how we get our abilities. That's how I imagine it's going to be. But it also looks like in that trailer that the stranger is stealing that crystal from him. She looks like she's going to just take that box from him.
I think that's how they end up teaming up in the end. What do you think's going on there, Travis? It's a big old team up.
Not really sure. Yeah, I think they're setting up Varix to be and he's always been opportunist with motives that are kind of a little wonky. So I think he might be I think he might be like a pseudo villain, somebody we can't trust who is wheeling and dealing to get his ends. So I think he might end up being kind of a secondary villain, maybe in a way.
Sounds like the Gambit. Or the Gambit. The Drifter.
The Drifter.
The Gambit. Yeah. He is the Gambit. X-Men crossover.
So there's a lot of focus on him in there also, but how about Eramis teaming up with the other faction of Fallen? And, they're going to be going to work against our Guardians. First of all, it's really nice to fight them as opposed to the Cabal.
Yeah.
Cabal have lost. Okay, Bungie, they're done. If we fight the Cabal, they should be forced to team up with some other faction that they wouldn't normally team up with or something, because they are basically done. They are soldiers just living out their retirement. That's what they're doing these days.
At least the Red Legion for sure.
Yeah, the Red Legion for sure.
I think they should be off world. I think we've talked about it before, but I don't think when Beyond Light hits and they do all this content vaulting and they remove all this other stuff that the Cabal are in, I don't think we should land on the EDZ and there should be any lost sectors with Cabal in them anymore, unless they're retooled somehow to where they're not Red Legion Cabal. They're just broken, misguided Cabal that don't have their Red Legion tags anymore. They don't have their equipment anymore. It's just they're done.
Or there's literally
out of the sky. The Emperor left, even though they weren't part of the Empire anymore. They're done. They're done. There should be no more drilling. If there's Cabal drills anywhere in the solar system, why?
Right. Or they should get literally one, and that's all they get. They have one lost sector, and that's where all the Cabal are. Yeah. Literally all the Cabal
exactly,
that are
right.
left.
It's they can't have any. They don't have any more reinforcements. There's nothing left. They've got nothing.
But going back to Eramis and the Fallen, who will actually be fighting largely, Travis, What do you think's going on here? Do you think they're all going to be wielding this power? Do you think there's going to be like 7 key characters that are going to be wielding this power? How do you imagine this going when we actually get in there and start fighting?
Yeah, I'm not really sure about them all wielding it. I think that would probably be a pretty tough sell, but I will say I'm really happy we finally have a Fallen villain who actually speaks and is a character, because all of the other Fallen DLCs have been a little odd. Like I know we had one in Destiny 1. I can't even remember the person's name, but they had a good plan of, using the Vex time to unite all of the different houses, but we didn't really get to hear them kind of talk to us and kind of have like a perspective and a personality. And then, with the Rise of Iron, the Siva thing, like there was really no face until the raid of the evil there, right? Like it was kind of a faceless danger. And so I'm happy that we have somebody who has motives and a perspective and is trying something. So I just want to say, like, awesome. Let's hope that she lives longer than 6 hours through the campaign. But it's cool that we have. Probably not. Yeah, I see you shaking your head, Brian. Probably not. She'll probably die during the campaign, which is sad. But yeah, my impression is that this will be kind of similar to Forsaken, just based on the fact that if you go to the story page on Bungie.net, it shows Eramis's lieutenants.
Yeah.
And I think it'll probably be like, take out her command people and kind of work your way up to Eramis and then eventually kill her. So, which, I liked Forsaken. I thought it was a cool kind of setup for that campaign. So hopefully it'll be just as good.
I agree with you. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And even if you look on the thumbnail, it's Eramis, and then it's 3 really cool looking Fallen, each with a unique characteristic. And I didn't mind that so much in Forsaken. I just hope they're a little bit more fleshed out than do a few missions, go kill them, do a few missions, go kill them. I like it, but I don't like that they were just gone. And besides the Grimoire, we didn't really get to learn too much more about their motivations or like what happened to them specifically. So I hope they are able to delve a little bit more into the Fallen characters and like what's going on with them. Brian, any more thoughts on the story trailer?
No, I mean, that's really it. Like, it's going to be interesting. But I am wondering if it is going to tie in somehow with Cosmodrome, because Eramis is former House of Devils. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting because I mean, I know we're not getting that strike back, but I mean, like House of Devils, they were based in the Cosmodrome in D1. So it'd be really cool if like the setup sort of happens there. Leading us to Europa in a sort of way.
That would definitely be really cool. On the weapons front, moving on, man, they just nerfed everything, didn't they? Travis, which change within the weapon sphere hits you the worst? I think I know which one's going to hit the PvP community the worst, but for you, what hits you the worst?
Hits me the worst. I think probably the changes to hand cannons. I think that one's pretty, it's universal. It kind of changes the meta for hand cannon users pretty significantly. Well, time will tell. I think we'll have to see how badly it affects it, and if it's so much that like hand cannons stop being kind of the go-to for a lot of players that do close and middle range. But yeah, my initial thoughts are, some of these seem like a lot of small buffs or small nerfs, and hopefully they don't affect the game too much. But thank God Mountaintop is getting something addressed, right? Like that was my main takeaway from this, is like Mountaintop, thank God somebody finally put an end to it. So hopefully that makes it less dominant in comp.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like a lot of these are also going to be affecting exotics. So everything is going to feel a little bit different in the next expansion. Brian, was there anything that jumped out to you that you think will hit you personally versus the community particularly harshly?
Harshly, no, right? Obviously, we know that I'm not crazy on PvP. But the one thing that I wanted to like note on was the removal of the lightweight frame for hand cannons. Like that, it's like, yeah, they're bringing all these 150s down to 140s, and they're removing that that 150 line, but they're also removing one of like the lightweight frames along with it. So it's like that's a huge part of people's play styles, being able to move faster while ADSing or aim down sight speeds and stuff like that. So removing that frame itself is kind of just like a giant nerf to a lot of these weapons, because it not only like changes how they shoot, but also how they perform and how the user performs while they're using it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes up the meta, because that's huge. Removing a completely different type of frame that like many PvP players have been used to for the past few years. So that's gonna be really interesting.
For sure. For me, the thing that hit me the hardest was sniper rifles. The fact that the different scopes are going to have different aim assist levels. I find that really, really interesting. You know, I've been using Revoker, and I can't remember the name of the primary, but it's definitely an unorthodox primary that I've been using a lot lately and just getting used to. And now all that, like Long Shadow is the one that I've been using a lot. All that sort of muscle memory I've developed is just going to get thrown away because my aim assist is going to change, or maybe it'll get better. Actually, I don't know what scope I usually use on it. Let me take a look here. So I currently have at a scout. It's a light sniper scope, short zoom. So it increases range and greatly increases handling speed on that one. But yeah, it's definitely going to have an impact. Scopes with around 50 zoom are unchanged. High zoom scopes have more. Lower zoom scopes have less aim assist. So I'm going to have less aim assist on the weapon. And then, you know, they also...
do snipers have aim assist on PC anyways, though, if you're using the mouse and keyboard?
Well, they're talking about just across the board. So
that's kind of fun. Yeah.
We'll see. Auto rifles, those got a nerf from 15.75 to 14.25. Prior to Season of the Worthy, damage per bullet was 13.75. So they're like narrowing it down right in the middle. Scout rifles have a reasonable time to kill. Increase how much point of the aim assist stat when it's at maximum. The aim assist cone is now 15% wider. Why are you messing with scouts? Of all the guns, of all the Mida was good at launch. Yeah,
I still don't think they're going to be good. Like if you're not changing damage values, I don't think anybody's going to use them.
I was messing around because I've been slowly unlocking catalysts, and I just realized I'm just not going to do that anymore because I don't care enough. Because I have to get like 250 kills in PvP with Suros.
Suros.
Yeah, so I was working on Suros. That's my last PvP weapon, and I can't get the two I want, which is Wardcliff and Hardlight. Those are the two that I actually would really, really like to get, and they just won't drop for me. It's probably because I have like 20 catalysts that I haven't completed yet. And just running out of time.
I don't know. Is that a thing?
What?
Well, Wardcliff's catalyst probably isn't going to go away, right?
You got me all freaked out because you were talking about Rat King and how you're worried it's going to go away, but it's not on the list.
Specifically for weapons that are being like vaulted, basically. Like
well, those are all done.
Wardcliff is a random drop, isn't it? So it's like
Wardcliff is in strikes.
Huh?
Wardcliff's is via strikes.
Yeah, so I imagine that the Wardcliff isn't going to go away.
I hope, but the way they worded it,
catalysts, yeah.
I would hope, but the way they worded it, and talking with you and talking with Teddy, just the fact that Teddy's not sure and Bungie hasn't clarified and other people are asking about this and they're not saying anything, I'm like, maybe I should just finish all my catalysts like right now. But I just got to a point where I'm like, this isn't fun. I'll just wait for the new expansion, you know. What about ARs? You guys concerned about that? I think ARs, that might put them in a pretty good place.
I hope so. They've become really dominant.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have 720 ARs kind of like competing with the 600s, because I like a lot of the 700s, like Steel Feather I think is 720.
Oh yeah, nice.
So it'll be nice to see. I mean, that gun doesn't have much longer though, since content vaulting is happening or sunsetting.
Don't worry, man. They'll reskin it. They'll give it a blanket. They'll wrap it in a blanket and give it back to you.
What's it called? Steel Feather. Now it'll be called Platinum Leaf. Platinum Leaf.
Yeah.
Or something else that's like a feather. Perks also are getting massive changes. Like Outlaw, the reload stat is actually getting increased from 50 to 70.
Because wasn't it just nerfed?
Yeah, they nerfed it and they're like, we'll bring it back. Because I did a video, maybe it was just for myself, but I was showing reload on some of the blues, and it's like pop. Oh my god, just reload the gun.
110s have notoriously low reload speed and just
Yeah, like if you're a blueberry, you're just like, what is this? Because autos are pretty much like you reload like a normal person, you know? You might as well be reloading one bullet at a time with some of those blues. Anyway, Merciless, inventory stat from 36 to 55. Mountaintop, gone. Guillotine. Oh, none of us said guillotine, you guys.
So guillotine. I forgot about that nerf. Yeah, that's
you said ones that wouldn't affect the rest of the community. Guillotine is going to be absolutely one that affects the community.
Yeah, that one hurts in my heart.
The thing is, though, is they said it's still going to perform better than the other swords, just not as much. So it's like if it still has the highest DPS.
That's just what Bungie says whenever they're nerfing something and they know that nobody's going to use it.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll probably still be using Falling Guillotine unless they introduce a sword that's better.
Here's what they said. Reduced heavy attack damage by 24% to bring in line with other swords. And honestly, that sword's just stupid. Like you can raffle stop
it's
anything.
broken. It's one of those things where it's just like, oh, I'm going to hate to see it go, but it's like, all right. It's fine. We knew it was coming.
Mida multi-tool and Mida mini-tool. Mida mini-tool move the Mida synergy trait to the intrinsic, similar to the Baroque version works. Added the following perks: hip fire and kill clip. And then there is an issue with the masterwork on this weapon that prevents it from being upgraded. This will be fixed in a later update. The gunsmiths will begin selling a version of this weapon on November 10th with no infusion cap. Wait. Which one? Mida or Mida Mini? It looks like they're talking about Mida Mini. So they actually didn't address anything about Mida in that one. Anyway, whatever. Sturm and Drang, who cares? Just kidding. We'll actually read it just for the community. Move the Together Forever trait to the intrinsic, similar to how the Baroque version works. Added the following perks: Accurized round and moving target. Note, there is an issue with the masterwork on this weapon that prevents it from being upgraded. This will be addressed in the later update. The gunsmith will sell a fixed version of it. Ruinous Effigy, Transmutation Spheres. This one was fun. Reduced damage of the aerial melee attack by 25%. Significantly reduced the damage of the drain effect on enemy combatants because you could just run around and heal.
That one's sad.
I have a theory about this one. I think that because I don't really think that was broken, the Ruinous Effigy, but I think that there must have been something in the upcoming raid that effect just completely destroyed, and they're like preempting people cheesing it.
It's exactly what happened when Rise of Iron came out with Touch of Malice. If we were able to use Touch of Malice the way we were in Kingsfall, that gun would have broken that raid.
Yeah, totally.
Arbalist no longer strikes shields multiple times, but its efficiency against shield targets has been increased. I wonder what that's going to do in PvP. That one's already annoying in PvP. So, and the Jade Rabbit, armor piercing rounds swap to high caliber rounds. This fixes an issue that can prevent the exotic perk from triggering. And then Trials of Osiris. Travis, this is something you've been talking about. Like, where are the adept weapons? Well, they're coming. What's going on with these? Take us through it.
Yeah, so they're not. It seems that they're not the same as the adept weapons in D1. It seems like they're not going to give your primary slot energy effects, but they're giving perks that you can only get on those weapons, and some stuff that seems like it's going to be more powerful. Additional slots on adept weapons that aren't that kind of give them an edge over normal weapons, and it seems like you'll only be able to acquire them through flawless runs in Trials of Osiris. So the good news is now it seems like maybe there will be rewards that make Trials worth playing. The question is, at least on the PC community, will there be actual, will it be playable on the PC community? Will they do the stuff that they need to do to make the game mode fun and to control cheaters and that sort of stuff? And then the console world, our main problem is player counts. The player counts in Trials are low, and the only people who play it are the sweatiest of the sweaty, which means they're often going against really tough teams. I think that will probably change if Game Pass on Xbox makes like a whole bunch of kindergartens enter the player base, if they even get to Trials. I doubt that they'll play Trials, but I think I'll need to wait to see if the weapons are good enough. But my initial reaction is I'm a little underwhelmed, just because the rewards you got in D1 were so good and so game changing. They were something that you had to do if you wanted to stay competitive, both in PvP and PvE, because adding elemental effects to a primary weapon was such a big deal. So that's a little sad, but yeah, it probably would have broken the game. So I get why they're not bringing that back.
Brian, did you have any reaction to this? I know you're not a PvP guy, but I thought I'd ask.
The fact that the adept weapons can't be used beyond the season you've acquired them.
Yeah,
you have an infusion cap of that season that you got them in, which is
sweet, right?
The worst implementation that I could think of. Like what? Like we are already like just like outspoken community about how we do not like sunsetting and the way that they're implementing it. And this is probably worse than how they're implementing it right now.
What if I told you you could get a weapon that'll what if I told you you could get a weapon that'll only be good for a few months and then it's just gone, basically.
It's bad.
It's not really usable in the event where you got it.
No.
And additionally, this will probably have a negative effect on trials, which is the craziest thing. So every season, the tryhards are going to go get these. You're going to run up against the tryhards who are going to have the god tier weapons, and you're going to lose your passage. Trials just like, come on, you guys. It needs some work.
They're catching losses everywhere.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, and that's my point. I think like there were two problems with trials, right? One was that the rewards were bad, so there was no reason to play. And the second trial was that the actual experience of playing was bad. Now they have rewards. Yeah, they don't last very long, but if the game mode's fun, it doesn't really matter, right? Because you're going to be playing anyway. It's like, doing trials on the weekend is a fun kind of ritual. I don't think they've solved that part. I don't think that they've made trials fun. I don't think they've made it a ritual. And until that happens, like, who is going to do this, even if the rewards are good, especially since they're so short-lived, except for, like you said, the sweaties and the cheaters. Like, that's going to be the only people who play.
Yeah, so. And props because they did lay the hammer down on some cheaters, which was just wonderful to see. We're keeping it short this week because, unfortunately, like, we're all really, really busy. You know, the next-gen consoles are here, and we got a lot at IGN to do work-wise with that.
Oh, you got one? I couldn't tell.
But Bungie also said they're going to be talking about how bounties, currencies, and progression systems will be updated in Beyond Light. We did realize that bounties, basically anything that's going away, don't hold on to those because they're going to go away with those events. Good job. And with that, that is actually it for this episode of Fireteam Chat. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Brian. That's it for this episode, everybody. And until next time, Guardians out.